Well, I'm joined now by Jonathan Katz, Senior Fellow at the German Marshall Fund in Washington, D.C. Well, good evening to you. So we're seeing a partisan House of Democrats and an equally partisan Senate. So given the critical nature of this process, would you say this leads to an efficient and just impeachment process?
Well, I think we're about to make history tonight in the U.S. Capitol with the third impeachment of a U.S. president. The process so far obviously has been one of which trying to hold the president to account for what many believe is an abuse of power. Obviously, the other aspect of the impeachment articles is obstruction of Congress, and that's because the president has been unwilling to allow those to testify that House impeachment trial efforts have asked him to do. And so, yes, there's partisanship in this process, but I think in the end of the day, this is really about the conduct of the president of the United States. In just a few short minutes, we're likely to see the third president of the United States impeached.
OK, but at the end of the day, given that the result of this impeachment process, once it moves to the Senate, is pretty much a foregone conclusion that there will not be a conviction at the end of this, do you think this inquiry will at least serve as a warning to future presidents on the limits of their power when in office?
I think that is really one of the main objectives, is to ensure that no president of the United States can abuse their office of power, whether they're a Democrat or a Republican. And I think this is particularly important right now to send this signal to president, but also to other lawmakers that might try to achieve political objectives through means in which they shouldn't be trying to do so. And so this is an important signal, and I think it sends a strong message. And frankly, based on the transcript that was released of President Zelensky and President Trump, I believe Democrats really had no other choice but to pursue some sort of remedy to what the president was trying to do with President Zelensky this summer. And so I think there is also the concern that the president may try to continue to do these types of things going forward in the 2020 elections.
OK, so the 2020 elections, you're just mentioning them there. So what kind of impact do you think this process, if at all, this will have on the vote?
Well, first of all, it's hard to say right now. We're about a year away, a little under a year away from the election. And so, of course, there's going to be multiple issues that will impact how voters are feeling. But when you look at the current polling, you see a slight majority in favor of impeachment. I think that's important. And I think as this process moves forward, as the Senate process moves forward, it will have a greater impact on voters. So it's hard to tell right now. The president has said that history will look unkindly on this impeachment process. I think many people believe it's quite the opposite, that once you have the president, Trump has that impeachment label attached to him, that it will have ramifications for him and his legacy going forward.
OK, so potential ramifications going forward. Well, Jonathan Katz, thanks so much for joining us.